During the fallout of my initial merchant video, after aimlessly reading comments or persisting with post research on the merchant, my indecisive suppositions have piloted a number of theories brought forth by certain people, although these questions regarding the merchant's true identity have lasted as long as the game itself, just lacking enough substance to contemplate an evaluation. It wasn't until a friend of mine graciously reached out to me with the most stunning theory I've ever heard in my life, a theory that may seem obvious at first, yet perfectly answers all of these questions that we've been looking for. What started as one key observation later became a whole detective journey lasting weeks. The only thing we had to work with was that the merchant was of British origin, an outsider similarly to Leon, Ada or Krauser. Unfortunately, these characters are all American. I couldn't find anything linking this to any other character. Obviously, I thought that all of the antagonists were native Spanish. That's until my friend found this, and I was in absolute shock.
Strolling around an old English town during a temporary site visit, I happened to discover this fascinating mural, depicting the families who settled there from the 12th century onwards. Among the names etched into history, one stands out, connecting us to the past. The families listed on the mural are as follows: widower, watchmaker, blacksmith, weaver, apothecary, fletcher, dyer, tanner, and lastly, and most intriguingly, saddler. This chance discovery set off an intriguing detective journey that ultimately revealed that the name Saddler is, in fact, of British origin.
After receiving this bombshell of a discovery, I started to draw even more parallels between these two polar opposites: his identity, his actions towards Leon throughout the game, and his locations. Examining these smaller details aided in our conclusion, proving that the merchant was in fact Saddler all along. So let's go through the evidence. When comparing a side-by-side image of the merchant and Saddler, the similarities are immediately obvious. Their eyes are exactly the same, and I don't mean in a relative sort of way, I mean they're exactly the same colour and shape. There aren't many instances where this is noticeable, due to the merchant's coat or Saddler's lack of screen time for the most part. Moments where he does show up are in overtly dim environments when he's too far in the background. The radio conversations are the saving grace here, giving us a clear and bright portrait to use as reference. From this we can see that not only are his eyes the same, his skin texture and nose bridge are exactly the same also. Very strange that even with his mask, the features match up perfectly. But I'm sure this is just a coincidence, right? Why is it that both Saddler and the merchant wear purple? Not the entire outfit, that would be too obvious, but the most mysterious aspect of the merchant is his mask. His way of telegraphing his hidden identity beneath a familiar and inconspicuous piece of fabric. Not even Mendez or Saddler's most elite soldiers are bestowed this colour, only the highest ranking monks and the Castellan himself would wear it. So why has the humble merchant claimed ownership of an item of clothing that literally wouldn't exist in his situation? As previously discussed, the surname Saddler originates from the Anglo-Saxon tribes of Great Britain. Specifically, this was an occupational title for people who made saddles, but who cares? You may argue that it's far-fetched to use a 12th century surname for comparison. Saddler's ancestors could have easily migrated to Spain during this time, and to connect this to the merchant on its own is completely outlandish, right? Well, no, actually. A quick Google search will reveal that not only is his second name British, but that his first name is also British, undoubtedly proving that Saddler and the merchant are connected, at least by nationality. Let's assume for a second that they are the same person. Why don't they sound the same? Well, Saddler's voice has always come across as exaggerated and overdramatic. Like an impressionist, his conversations with Leon are very animated, using slow speech, inflections, and the delivery of someone who practices voices in the mirror on a daily basis.
If you must know, my name is Osmond Saddler. the master of this fine religious community.
What do you want?
To demonstrate to the whole world our astounding power, of course. No longer will the United States think they can police the world forever.
Even without the merchant to compare him to, we can assume that Sadler was completely faking his voice to come across as more intimidating or compelling. It could also be the other way around. The merchant's mask allows him to limit his speech to a low-pitched, aged voice that we're so accustomed to.
Welcome. Got some rare things on sale, stranger.
From examining all of Sadler's cutscenes in the game, you'll be surprised to hear that these two are never seen in the same room together. They are in fact very close by. Halfway through the game, the merchant has a stall set up neighbouring the door leading to Ashley's trap, and I mean literally right next door, almost deliberately using it as a strategic point of interest. Upon entering this door, a cutscene triggers where Lewis follows us from behind, expected since he was looking for us around this time. But before he can approach Leon, Sadler impales him from behind while the door is still open. Assuming that the merchant had nothing to do with this, it would mean that he was staring at Sadler's back while this was taking place.
My boy Salazar will make sure you follow the same fate.
Stay with me, Lewis.
I am a researcher, hired by Sadler. He found out what I was up to.
The other big piece of evidence lies in the final chapter. After killing Sadler, Leon heads back down the elevator where the merchant's stall is still visible. The merchant, of course, is nowhere to be seen. Even during the fight itself, we can use the camera to scout the area beneath us, and he still isn't here. The only time where both characters should be in the same arena, and they are not. Let's explore the first merchant encounter for a second. Like the weirdo that he is, he spies on Leon's entire conversation with Lewis from around this corner. It's as if he was specifically waiting for Leon to escape the execution attempt before enticing him down the back alley, and we're introduced to his shop. Like clockwork, Sadler is at play again. He was actually the person who infected Leon before this took place. So Sadler was the last character we saw, and the merchant just so happened to appear in this extremely well hidden cabin in the middle of nowhere. This man is Sadler. Why would he be spying on us like this? Why would he order Mendez to keep us alive, then magically show up as if it was planned? Why would he wear a mask to hide himself at all? Why else would the merchant be stocked up with weapons only seen in the island? Why else would he be able to see through walls if he wasn't Sadler in disguise and was using Leon's Plagueis as a sort of beacon, later using this power selectively to show up when most convenient? Every single encounter with the merchant circle back to Sadler in some way. The big question is, why would Sadler aid Leon in his mission, supplying him with the weapons needed to take him down, even going as far as to hang out by this elevator at the end of the game, essentially gifting Leon the victory? I've made this point in numerous other videos, but Sadler never wanted Leon to die. He thoroughly enjoyed watching Leon chase after him while killing his friends along the way, giving Leon a goal to accomplish but making his life miserable. From as early as chapter 1-2, Mendez mentions this in his letters, addressing Sadler's soft spot for Leon. In his own words, he wanted to make Leon his guard after his assimilation with Las Plagas was complete, and it was never his intention to kill him. With that in mind, people have theorized that Sadler actually had a crush on Leon. Let me explain. Sadler is a weird guy, and we know that he could have killed Leon countless times, yet he decided not to for his own amusement. Unlike Salazar or even Hunnigan, Sadler's radio calls come across as flirtatious and carefree, not serious and methodical.
I have an idea. Since you're here, why don't I introduce you to it? It should keep you busy.
The final cutscene makes this clear as he mentions the Hollywood cliché American Prevalien with a tremble in his voice. As an isolationist cult leader, how would he even know what a Hollywood movie even is? He has a fetish for American heroes.
What's so funny?
Oh, I think you know. The American prevailing is a cliché that only happens in your Hollywood movies.
He wanted Leon to fulfill the role that he had set out for him all this time, a set piece. This is why he never cared when you killed Mendez, Salazar, and Quauser. He had it all planned out from the start. Overall, the story of RE4, more specifically Leon's mission, was a game devised by Sadler for his own satisfaction, ending in him accepting his defeat and willingly opening his mouth fully RPG. He could have easily dodged this if he wanted to. It's no coincidence that you can deliberately miss Sadler to an extent and the cutscene will still play out. As we know, he isn't actually dead, of course. The merchant can resurrect after an RPG, and he will show up in the next area as if nothing ever happened. Speaking of RPGs, the merchant seems to have an infinite supply of them, and the only other time someone else is seen with an RPG is Sadler when he shot down Mike. The same abilities that allow him to switch personas on a second's notice, like that cutscene at the castle, and to scale this elevator without anyone noticing. Sadler is always one step ahead. Sadler is always watching. So that's all I have for this theory. Once again, I want to thank Napper for being the first to mention this idea, as well as being the first to find the origin of the Sadler family name. I hope that I could convince some of you with this theory. Maybe this one was more definitive than the others in my first video. I am going to make a poll on what the next video should be, consisting of a viewer requested mysteries that I'd like to be featured in the future. If you have an idea that you'd like to share, please send them to my email or just comment down below. That should be up sometime soon.